post-Easter this morning, and so that means we can all take a deep breath. Let's see. Okay, perfect. I had to remember exactly what the scripture text I was preaching on this morning because it reset when I was not there. There it is. Oh yeah, that's right. It sounds familiar. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our first After Easter Sunday of 2017, and this is always like a bit of a deep breath Sunday. I go, okay, we made it through Easter, all those services, Palm Sunday, Good Friday, twice on Easter, we made it through. And there's a temptation after Easter, like there is for all of us after we do something major, after we do something big, to try to be like, all right, I'm done. I'm over it. I'm good. Anytime we go through anything that's taxing or emotionally exhausting, our natural response as humans is to, be exhausted. I worked with teenagers for a number of years in various different capacities, and there's one thing teenagers love to do for events, and they're lock-ins. I'm not sure how many of you have ever been to a lock-in, but for those of you who haven't, I'll explain. What you do is you go to a facility, usually like a big gymnasium type place or one of those places. We used to go over to Genesis Athletic Club. What you do is you get a bunch of teenagers in there, and then you lock them in overnight. So from 8 p.m. to 5 a.m. You just lock them in and let them go crazy. And then the adults are expected to supervise and keep this going. Well, here's the thing. In high school, I could go from 8 to 5, no problem. In college, I could go from 8 to 5 and wake up and go to class in the morning. That was no problem. But then after college, my life started to slow down a little bit. I started to get to these lock-ins and think, 8 to 5? 8 to 5? Are you sure? It's not just 8 to 5. It's 8 to 5 with teenagers saying, let's play basketball, let's play volleyball, let's play tennis, let's go swimming, let's wrestle. Even on my best days, I was not wrestling with people. That's not me. And so it's just exhausting. So you come home from one of these lock-ins at 5 a.m. and you just go and you just crash. And I remember after one, I got home, it was probably about 6 or 6:30 in the morning. I got home and I slept. I woke up, what's going on? I look out and I'm like, I didn't get any sleep at all. It's still dark outside. And I look at the clock and I go, wait a second. I thought I got home at 6. How can it be 6 right now? Did I sleep at all? Truth of the matter was I slept for 12 hours and woke up at 6 p.m. like a zombie crawling out of the bushes. And so whenever I talk about after Easter, and specifically when I talk about the disciples after Easter, I always imagine this. The disciples had gone through the craziest week of their life, from the triumphal entry in Jerusalem to the Garden of Gethsemane, to the crucifixion of Christ on Good Friday, all the way through Easter Sunday. These dudes have to be exhausted. They've been through it. And so, like many of us, the exhausted disciples have a day where they're not doing anything, and they go, you know what we're going to do? We're going to go fishing. That's what they wanted to do. They wanted to go fishing. So let's do this. That's who they were. They were fishermen. That's what they had built their lives on. That's what they loved to do. And so they said, okay, we're just going to go back to fishing. And so we're going to pick up this morning in John chapter 21, beginning in verse 1. It's going to say this. It says, afterwards, Jesus appeared again to his disciples by the Sea of Galilee. It happened this way. Simon Peter, Thomas, Nathanael from Cana in Galilee, the sons of Zebedee, and 2 other disciples were together. I'm going out to fish, Simon Peter told them, and they said, we'll go with you. So they went out and got on the boat, but that night they caught nothing. Sounds like basically every fishing trip I've ever been on. Early in the morning, Jesus stood on the shore, but the disciples did not realize that it was Jesus. He called out to them, friends, haven't you any fish? I think this is sarcastic Jesus. He already knows they don't have any fish. He's just rubbing it in. No, they answered. He said, throw your net on the right side of the boat and you will find some. When they did, they were unable to haul in the net because of the large number of fish. Then the disciple whom Jesus loved, every time I tell this story, I think of my brother Tim. If my brother Tim were to be one of the Gospels, of one of the writers of the Gospels, he would refer to himself as the disciple whom Jesus loved, because that's my brother. He's a little bit like that. So every time I read the Gospel of John, John refers to himself as the disciple whom Jesus loved, and it makes me think of Tim. Because I think, yeah, that sounds about right. I know one of those. The disciple whom Jesus loved said to Peter, "It is the Lord." And as soon as Simon Peter heard him say, "It is the Lord," he wrapped his outer garment around him, for he had taken it off, and jumped into the water. The other disciples followed in the boat, towing the net full of fish, for they were not far from shore, about 100 yards. When they landed, they saw a fire of burning coals there with fish on it and some bread. I've preached out of this text a lot because I love this text. It's Simon Peter, and it's Jesus bringing him back into the fold, and we're talking about forgiveness, and we're talking about second chances. We're talking about these things that are so integral and important to our faith. But today I want to dissect this text in a little bit of a different form. You see, the disciples had just been through an incredibly traumatic week. Just awful. Just horrible. They had to just be exhausted. And Jesus reappears to them. Simon Peter, of course, Peter is Peter, right? He's going to jump out of the boat. He's going to swim. He's going to be overeager. But we talk a lot about Peter. Today I want to talk about the other disciples. I want to talk about John. I want to talk about these other guys who are in this boat and they see Jesus. And they encounter Jesus for the first time after seeing him crucified. John especially sees the world differently than Peter does. Peter's always eager. Peter's always going out ahead. Peter's always doing all this kind of stuff. But John is the beloved. And John's been through a lot. John stood next to Mary at the cross. John was the one Jesus said, "Take care of her." John's bearing a lot of this weight. And so when Peter says he'll go out fishing, then they just go out fishing. Because what else are you going to do? See, it's our natural response as humans when we encounter difficulty and trauma is to go back to what it is that we know. These guys know fishing. That's what they go back to. And yet, an encounter with the resurrected Jesus is going to change everything and flip upside down everything that these guys know. And it's John that looks at Peter and says, "It is the Lord." And that moment for these men will change everything in their lives. These moments for that men will change the direction of their future. It will lead to all but one of them being martyred. It will lead to them going and starting what is now the largest church. No, I like it. It's very nice. It will lead to them going and starting what is the largest church in human history. It will lead to them changing the course of the planet. But it doesn't feel like that when it starts. It feels like a fishing trip. And it feels like breakfast. Verse 10 says this: Jesus said to them, "Bring some of the fish you have just caught." So Simon Peter climbed back into the boat and dragged the net ashore. It was full of large fish, 153. But even with so many, the net was not torn. Jesus said to them, "Come and have breakfast." None of the disciples dared ask him, "Who are you?" They knew it was the Lord. Jesus came, took the bread, and gave it to them, and did the same with the fish. This was now the third time Jesus appeared to his disciples after he was raised from the dead. And this is one of the crazy things about Jesus, right? Jesus has just been resurrected. Like, it's a big deal. It's like the biggest story about Jesus we tell in the whole gospel. He reappears to his disciples, the guys he's closest with on earth. They see him. It's Jesus. He's raised from the dead. We're out fishing. And the very first thing they do is have breakfast. And see, now the writer in me doesn't love this, and I'll tell you why. See, when you're writing a movie and you reach the climax of the movie, you want it to be a big, dramatic moment. You want things to explode. You want it to be like the Death Star blowing up in Star Wars. Or at the end of an officer and a gentleman, he carries her out, and they play Love Lifts Us Up Where We Belong or some song like that. You want it to be like a big deal like that. This is breakfast. And I'm so confused by this, and I'm so thrown off by this as I read it, because I think, Lord, why breakfast? What's the deal? You could have done anything. You could have gone anywhere. But you created disciples during a fishing trip, and you cook a breakfast. And I think it's important for us to remember in these moments who God is and what the nature of God is. See, often, the way we look at God is reflective of the way we look at ourselves, right? And the way we understand God is reflective of the way we look at ourselves. And so, too often in our lives, we think we're not doing anything great unless we're doing something big. Right? Unless I'm in charge of a big project, unless I'm the manager, I'm the CEO, unless we're bringing them in by the thousands, unless we're doing that, unless I'm doing something great, unless I'm winning awards, unless I'm doing something that matters, unless I'm verified on Twitter, I'm not doing great work. And then because of the way we view ourselves, it reflects on the way we view God. And we go, God, if you're not bringing down walls, and if you're not splitting the earth open, and if you're not doing this, that, and the other, then God, where are you, God? What are you doing? But here's the truth. And it's a truth that's true about both God and ourselves. Is that sometimes all we have is all we have. Not every moment in your life is going to be the Sermon on the Mount. Not every moment in your life is going to be the loaves and the fishes. And if your perception of God is that God is only at work when He's multiplying the loaves and the fishes and healing the blind and preaching to thousands of people on the Sermon on the Mount, then you misunderstand who God is. And you misunderstand who He wants you to be. Listen. Some days you struggle. Can you imagine having walked through Good Friday, Garden of Gethsemane? Can you imagine having walked through that difficulty? You know what? Some of you can. Some of you have walked through hell. Some of you have walked through impossibly difficult circumstances. And if you look at yourself and you go, I can't possibly be doing God's will after that because after going through this traumatic experience, I don't feel like running a marathon, then you fundamentally misunderstand who God is. God created you, He knows you, and He made you the way He wants you, and He made you to understand concepts like rest. It's why the God of the universe created for 6 days and rested for one. Because even the God of the universe said, it's not about needing rest, it's about wanting it. You can only do what you can do. But through God, it's enough. The disciples on that morning only had enough in them to go fishing. A lot of my friends that love to fish tell me, oh, it's so relaxing, it's so great. And I get it, I've fished before, and I kind of get the appeal. I need there to be some sort of fish that only is very active at like 1 in the afternoon. I would catch so many of those fish, I would eat them, I would open a restaurant that sells exclusively the afternoon fish. Because my problem is, all my friends like to fish, they're like, yeah, fishing's great. And then the next thing out of their mouth is, yeah, all you gotta do is get up at like 4 o'clock in the morning. I'm like, no, I'm done. I don't care. I'm done. That's it. And I'm like, well, no, you get up at 4 and then I'm like, I don't need to hear what you do after you get up 4. He goes, I'm done already. I'm out. I'm super out. Same with my friends who tell me they love to hunt. They're like, yeah. They're like, we get up at like 5 in the morning, we go out, we get up in a tree, and I'm like, no, hard pass. No, thank you. I am way okay with those things. But for the disciples, it was what they knew. It was their livelihood, and so it was what they went to do. And Christ met them where they were. Jesus didn't send them a telegram and go, hey, I'm in the city. Hey, I'm over here. Hey, I'm in Jerusalem. Hey, I'm back in Galilee. Hey, I'm in Bethlehem. No. He met them where they were. Because when you understand the depth of how much God loves you, with how much He cares for you, you'll understand that He's interested in meeting you where you are. And not just interested in meeting you where you are. See, this is the cool thing about Jesus. Jesus had just risen from the dead, so He's had a bit of a week Himself. You know, He died on Friday, which is, not generally the mark of a great week that you're having. And so, all Jesus had to do was reappear to the disciples. He didn't even have to do that. But He chose to do that. He chose to reappear to the disciples. He chose to say, "Here I am. I have risen from the dead. Praise the Lord." But He doesn't stop there. This is the crazy thing about Jesus, and I don't want you to miss this, because it's indicative of the character of God. It says this. Verse 9, John 21:9, it's so important to understand the character of God. It says, when they landed, they saw a fire of burning coals there with fish on it and some bread. Y'all, Jesus didn't just show up to the disciples. Presenting Himself to them would have been amazing. He was raised from the dead. That's amazing. But He shows up and He cooks them breakfast. You see, Jesus loves you so much. The God of all the universe cares about you so deeply that He's not just interested in being with you, although that would be enough. He wants to provide for every single one of your needs. He wants to give to you the thing that you can't give to yourself. He wants to care for you. He wants to be there for you. He wants to cook you breakfast. They don't paint a lot of pictures of breakfast cooking Jesus. They don't have statues of breakfast cooking Jesus. If they did, I'd have one on my desk right now, I promise you. But it might be one of my favorite things about the nature of God, is that He cares so deeply about me, about even the things that I consider small about myself, even the things I want to gloss over and hide and go, no, God, I've got this one taken care of. No, God, I don't need your help with that. No, God, I'm good, I got this. He cares about those things inside of me. So there's a twofold response that we have to this. First of all, you and I can do something I talk about all the time, but it's something I believe in, and it's called the holy deep breath. Because so often in our lives, we spend so much of our lives worried, anxious, tense, freaking out about everything there is to freak out about. Please, I'm as guilty of it as anybody. I'm constantly worrying about things. I leave here now every time and get out of the parking lot, get out to my car, and have to walk back and go, did I lock the door? So I got to get out of my car and walk back and check, okay, I locked it. And then I go back to my car and I can drive off. It's like being a crazy person, but I can't help it. But you and I, through Christ, have the opportunity to take a holy deep breath and go, even when I can't, God can. Even when I can't, God will. And so I don't have to be anything other than what I'm not. I don't have to give God anything besides what I have. When what I have is energy and excitement, and when what I have leads me up here and leads me to all the energy and all of the excitement in the whole world, then that's what I give to God. And when what I have to give God is a broken heart, is grief, is exhaustion, then that's what I give to God, and it's enough. Today, God will do what God will do. Because He's God, and it's His very nature. You see, but not just that. It's not just the understanding that God is going to do what I can't even when I feel like I can't. It's the hope to know that God has a plan for me on the worst days and the most difficult days of my life. You see, Jesus doesn't show up to the disciples and go, hey guys, I'm risen from the dead, that's great. All right, man, we got to figure some stuff out. We got to have a powwow, guys, because I died and that was a crazy thing, and now I'm back here from the dead, so we got to talk, we got to figure some stuff out. Oh my God, what are we supposed to do now? Isn't this weird? Isn't this crazy that I rose from the dead? Boy, that's wild. No, Jesus never does that. I say this all the time. God is never looking for a consult from me. God is never calling me, asking me for advice. That's never a thing that's going to happen, because God already has a plan for you. And God is not intimidated by the circumstances of your life that might be difficult. God is not intimidated when you make mistakes. God is not freaked out when you mess up. He's God. He already has a plan. All we got to do is get on board. All we got to do is say, God, I submit myself to you. I surrender myself to you, God. I want to go in the direction you have for me. And God goes, great. I've been waiting. I've been here ready. Let's go do it. After the worst week of the disciples' lives, God didn't miss a beat. Jesus, in the grave, never missed a beat. And so if Jesus can quite literally be in the grave and not miss a beat, then why do we think anything that goes on in our lives is going to throw him off? It's not. It's really, really not. God has the same plan for you today that he had for you last week, that he had for you last year, that he had for you 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 50 years ago, 100 years ago, 200 years ago, 500 years ago. He has the same plan for you that he had in the Garden of Eden. Amen. Good days, bad days, whatever days. And then lastly, it leaves us with this. Some days, when you've gone through difficulties, it's hard to remember what it's like to not be going through difficulties. I'm a real baby when I get sick. I don't know if anybody else can relate to that. I am super difficult to live with when I'm sick. I'm whiny, I complain, I moan, I just want to lay there, I just want people to bring me food. That part's true all the time, but especially when I'm sick, I just want people to bring me food. It's awful. And sometimes you'll do this thing like where your nose will get all stuffed up or your ears will get stuffed up. And you go, I can't remember what it was like to breathe before my nose gets stuffed up. And you start to think thoughts like, what if my nose is never clear again? What if this is just what it's like perpetually for the rest of my life? I'm going to have a stuffy nose. I'm going to have to breathe out of my mouth for the remainder of my days here on earth. And we start to panic and we start to think these thoughts. Like, oh, maybe it's because I'm naturally anxious, in case you didn't know. But I started thinking these thoughts like, oh my gosh, my throat is never gonna not be scratchy again. Oh no, I'm just gonna have to adjust it. This is just my life now. I'm just gonna have to adjust. And it's amazing how quickly, as people, we lose hope. But that's what God does. That's what he is. God is the restorer of hope. God is the one who brings dead things to life. And he's the one who brings the hope of the future. So listen, I am never going to stand up here and go, listen, here's what you got to do. You got to pray and everything's going to be great. You just got to give your life to the Lord and everything's going to be fixed and everything's going to be perfect. No, that's dumb and it's not real. People like to say that because it's easy and it's simple and it gets them out of the real work of actually knowing God and knowing themselves. That's why people like to talk like that, but it's garbage. Listen, I believe in prayer. I love praying. It's something that I do routinely. Is part of my life. But there have been many times when I've prayed and I've said, Lord, fix this situation. Lord, take this away. And it doesn't happen. And it sucks. I'm not going to pretend like it doesn't. I know I'm not supposed to say that word when I preach, but I got to stop doing that. But it does. I hate it. I hate when God remembers that He's the boss and I'm not. He never forgets that, but you know. But here's what it does. And here's what God does for me and what He'll do for you. He may not solve all your problems right now. He may not fix your circumstances right now. But He will restore your hope. He will restore that thing in you that says, yeah, today's not great, but I'm going to get through this. You're going to get through this. Yeah, I might have failed today, but I'll get another chance tomorrow. Yeah, I might not have done right today, but I'll get another chance tomorrow and the day after that. Yeah, I might have had a real bum day today, but there will be more days. More days serving and loving a good God. And let me tell you, that hope is the most important thing you can ever have. You know, having walked through seasons where I dealt with both health issues and emotional health issues, the worst part about dealing with those things is feeling like you're going to be like this forever. You know, I joke around a lot, but I walked through a season my last year of teaching where I was going through really, really severe depression and anxiety, and it got to the point where it was so bad it was affecting me physically. And I would get to the point where it would be the end of school days, 6th, 7th hour, and homeroom period at the end. I was so physically exhausted that I couldn't stand up from my desk chair. I just didn't have the energy to physically stand up. There were multiple days I thought, I don't know how I'm going to drive home. I don't know how I'm going to get home. And the worst part about that was I would go to the doctor, and he'd say things to me. I don't know if your doctor's ever said this to you. He'd say things to me like, you know what? You just need to be less stressed. I go, wow! What a great idea. I never thought about that. I should just be less, here I have been this whole time just adding stress into my life just for fun. Just because I thought I needed it, like salt on my food. Thank you. So you know what? I'm gonna stop the lion taming. I'm gonna stop jumping out of planes. Thanks so much, Doc. I appreciate it. Needless to say, I'm not a good patient. We'll move on from that. And I remember going home from those doctor's appointments and not even crying. I remember going home from those doctor's appointments feeling like I'm going to be like this forever. I'm going to feel like this for the rest of my life. And I just remember feeling like I was beginning to come to terms with that. So I went to a different doctor and explained to him what was going on. And he said, oh, so we're going to run this test and that test and this test and that. And all of a sudden I'm like, whoa. Like, I didn't know there was like, I was like, oh, we're going to do this and that and the other, and we're going to give you this, and we're going to write you this prescription, and we're going to try this and try that and try that. I'm like, whoa, okay. And I remember at the end of that doctor's appointment, the doctor looked at me and he said, we're going to keep working until you get better. And I just sobbed. I just started to sob, right? This doctor I met 45 minutes ago, didn't know me from Adam. I'm just sobbing in his office. It was one of the best days of my entire life. I walked out of that office and didn't feel any better, right? Physically. I was still sick. I still had these issues going on and these things. But for the first time in my life, I believed that I would get better, and it was that hope that changed my life. Listen. The God of the universe loves you so much and so deeply that He's not going to leave you where you are today. He won't do it because it's not in His nature in God. So here's the truth. You might walk out of church this morning in the same circumstances that you walked in. You might walk out of church this morning feeling physically not great. You might walk out of church this morning dealing with emotional difficulties. But you can walk out of church this morning knowing that God is going to be at work in your life until you get through whatever you're going through right now. That's a promise and a guarantee. Straight from heaven. It's better than any magic fix. It's better than any quick cure because you know that the God of the universe is not today or ever going to let you go. He's never going to do it. It's not in his nature. It's not who he is. Life is difficult. And just because God is going to work through your life, it doesn't downplay the difficulty of the problems you're walking through right now. But it does this. It means that you can have hope that things will change. It means that you can let yourself believe that things will get better. And in the meantime, the God of the universe is going to cook you breakfast. And what I mean by that is, he's going to meet your needs. He's going to get you up tomorrow morning. He's going to give you the strength to get through what it is that you have to get through. He's going to cook you breakfast. And then watch how the faithfulness of God will work these things on your life. Church, take heart. Be hopeful this morning. Know that God has not forgotten about you. Know that God has not abandoned you. He's not let you go. Know that if the God of the universe, while he was in his grave, still had a plan for the disciples who abandoned him, that the God of the universe who sits on the throne has a plan for you. He has hope for you. He's going to walk with you through difficult times. And so, you might walk out of this room with the same circumstances you walked into. But you don't have to walk out with the same perspective that you walked in with it. You can walk out knowing you are loved, you are cared for, and you will get through this. Bow your heads with me. Father God, I'm so grateful, Lord, that you will not leave me where I am. I am so grateful, God, that no matter what circumstance I find myself in, no matter what mistakes I've made, you are with me. And that you'll never let me go. And that that's the hope I have that anchors my soul. So Lord, this morning for each and every one of us, Lord, be that hope. Remind us that we have that hope in you. Remind us that we have that future in you. Remind us that this is not the end. That the book is not written. That the chapter is not closed. But that you are still God. You are still at work. And in the meantime, you are caring for us and giving us the strength to get through what we have to. We love you, Lord. In the name we pray. Amen. Thank you all.